If you're considering selling your home, you'll need to come up with a list price. The list price is what you'll be putting your home on the market at as an invitation to buyers. There are a few different approaches on how to establish a list price. A listing and a list price is an invitation for an offer. It's not an offer itself. You're simply marketing your property at that price. You are not obligated to sell it for that price. So if you ask $400,000 for your property and someone offers you $400,000, you're not obligated to accept the offer. In fact, there are so many other variables that formulate an offer in terms of the quality of the buyer and split of fees. One common mistake that sellers make is thinking how much they want to get for their house, or thinking in terms of what they might need. What you want or need really plays no role, and in fact can be counterproductive when it comes to selling your home for the most money possible. Clearly, the goal for any homeowner is to sell their home for the most money possible. It's a savings account that you worked hard for and sacrificed in many ways to build. At the end is when you need to maximize profit. It's a seller's right to sell that home for as much personal gain as you can. It's a savings account that you've sacrificed for a good long time. Now it's time to reap the rewards. Selling price is probably the single most important aspect in selling or walking away with the most money possible, but it's not the only variable. But let's talk about pricing strategy for a moment. The first step in pricing your property is knowing as closely as you can what it's worth. And the way to do that is to be looking at market comps in the area. And we've got another video talking about how value is determined. But you want to be as fair as you can in evaluating what your home is really worth. In the end, your home will need to appraise. So if your home is worth $400,000 and someone offers you $500,000, unless they have all cash, they'll be needing to get a loan, and a lender will require an appraisal. And an appraiser is going to, while they might favor the fact that someone likes the property enough to offer that much money, they're going to look for whether or not there is support for that price. They'll be looking at the recent sales just as you are. And if there's no support, it won't appraise. Homes can't sell, practically speaking, for a whole lot more than they're really worth. Now, there are different approaches on how to price a home. One is to simply price it right at the price that you think it really is worth. This takes a little bit of courage because you'd like to get as much money possible, a little bit more than that, or at least leave some wiggle room. But when you price a property fairly, you get quite a bit of attention. You get anybody looking at properties in that price range. It will appear to be a value property, or at least a reasonably priced property, and that is attractive to buyers. Another thought is to come in below what it's worth, and this has been done quite a bit in recent years with a lot of the foreclosures that were on the market, and they would generate 10, 15, 30 offers in some cases. And the strategy behind pricing low is to make sure that everyone in the market that's in that price range is identified, that they present themselves to you and you know who they are. So let's say you have a property that you think is worth $260,000. If you price your home at $260,000, people that set their automated searches between $2 and $250 often won't find you. Many sellers will then price it at $249 and try and get as many buyers in from different pricing categories as they can and as many offers as possible. The risk in pricing low is you don't get enough offers. So if you have a property you think is worth $260,000, you price it at $249 and you don't get offers. You may not have been accurate in your pricing. There may be some special quality of that property that could take a little bit more time to market, or you're likely to start seeing offers less than that $249 asking price. Another strategy is to price high. And this is more traditional, which leaves wiggle room for negotiating. So if you have a property that's worth $350,000 and you price it at $360,000, you are leaving some room for someone to offer a little bit lower and essentially feel they've negotiated with you and gotten some extra value. From a negotiation standpoint, that can be very satisfying, a buyer feeling like they got a good buy. So pricing a property a little higher leaves you wiggle room to negotiate with a buyer. One important component of pricing, typically there's an inverse relationship between the price and the speed in which you sell a home. The more you're asking, the longer it will take to sell. And the less you ask, the faster it will sell. So if you'd like to sell quickly, pricing your home on the lower end of its value range is a good idea. On the other hand, if you've got time, you can go a little bit higher and know that you've got time to work with. Unfortunately, there are limits to this. If you price too high, it will take longer, and in the end, you'll simply have to drop your price. Agents watching properties for sale will watch to see if there are price drops. And when there is a property that's been on the market for a period of time and a series of price drops, it demonstrates you've got a seller that has been unrealistic and really doesn't know the value of that property. But a property being on the market for a long time is suspicious to buyers, especially in a market as fluid as ours. Just because you start with one strategy doesn't mean you can't change. It's unusual, but you can. One important thought to bear in mind is buyers search based on thresholds. They'll be looking for properties between $300,000 and $400,000 or $300,000 and $350,000. The $100,000 increment is a very big one. So if you price a property at $401,000, you will be losing all of the buyers that set their threshold at $400,000. So a $410,000 pricing actually takes you out of the market of the people that are looking $350,000 to $400,000. So bearing that in mind is important in your pricing strategy. The $100,000 line, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, is a very big line. The 50s are the next largest, $350,000 to $400,000, $400,000 to $450,000, and then the 25s, $425,000 to $450,000, $450,000, $475,000, and so on. Knowing those lines and setting your pricing to maximize where buyers are searching will help you appeal and be seen to the broadest market possible. In the end, it's important to know what your property is worth and to be practical when it comes time to sell. If you'd like to get in touch and talk about what your property might sell for, feel free to give me a call or send an email.